Is it doing it? It did it. Okay, wonderful. Welcome on in, everyone. Welcome to the form check stream. Okay. No. Okay, sorry. I'm out, Ryan. I'll catch you next time. I think the last stream that I did was March 5th. Or maybe it was the 6th. No, it was the 5th, because this is, I didn't do this one then. This is Tycon. All right, and I have a sneak peek. Not necessarily a sneak peek. We've all seen them before. These are, I just got my prototypes in. So, be able to show you guys those. Kind of flex them, I guess. Anyways, this one is Tycon right here. He said this is Hades 419. That's actually pretty good smash, especially in a headwind. Nice, Ryan. Getting warmer up in Wisconsin. Sick. It's getting warmer here, too. I just have evaders and EMAC judges here. I don't usually like to see this much up and down. You see how you're kind of bouncing there? Yeah. I usually don't like to see that. Plus, your front foot is turned towards the target, which means your hips don't rotate backwards. Because usually what the bouncing does is it leads to a high to low pull. You can kind of see here how the disc starts up top and then finishes low. And that kind of creates a little bit of that air bounce. You can correct for it with your wrist. Like you might be throwing nose down, but it's just not as efficient. So I would try to just move more flat laterally. And then try to turn your front foot away from the target as you reach back. Pulling the disc here, your elbow shouldn't really be that low relative to the disc. If your elbow gets down below the disc, that tends to cause that air skip too. But I think that's also from the bounce and a little bit you're leaning forward a little bit. So if you fix your balance, that might help with your elbow thing. It might keep your elbow a little bit higher than the disc. But also if focusing on your elbow is a way to help work on that, that might help too. But the timing looks okay as far as pulling the disc in front of you. Yeah, reach back timing looks okay. Left arm is tight to your side. Yeah, timing is definitely what's getting you your power right now. You've got a lot of power, but it's just going down into the ground and like air skipping it. What's up, Cyrus? I got my evaders today. They were at the retail store. I just walked in and grabbed the box because they had them like set aside for me. Does your stamp look like this? Or not? Because I haven't seen this prototype stamp in a very long time. I'm pretty excited about it. Okay, this is Bashir Franco. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Your protos are in transit. I thought I saw you had one. Can you guys hear that? You guys can, can't you? That's my hot water heater. I have no idea why it's making that sound. It's not dripping, but it's making the sound like it is. We'll go Franco. Is my face in the way? It is. Now it's not. Wonderful. You can't hear it? Okay, good. So, okay, turning a little bit of a jump as you X-step. I usually don't like to see a jump because that means that your feet kind of scoot in front of your torso, and that leans you back away from the target a little bit. And that can mess up your balance a little bit. It doesn't look like it's messing you up too bad, but still it's a good habit to nip in the bud. Also, you're throwing with the wrong hand. No. You said you're having trouble with weight transfer from back foot to front foot. That might actually be causing that. If you're leaning, that can definitely cause that a little bit. So if you stay more vertical, that'll help with your weight shifting forward because you're just not. The idea is you don't want to have any weight offset from around your spine so your spine can rotate. Your spine should be tilted over the target, but if your spine is like leaning, that means that your weight has to come up and over to get to the release point, and that tends to mess up your balance. See how you're kind of leaning away from the target here? That's definitely what's causing that weight shift issue. Reach back looks okay though. It looks like you're reaching, maybe? I can't tell. If you're reaching out in front of you and then swinging your arm back, that can mess up your mechanics and your timing a little bit. But if you start with a disc in front of you and then reach it back, that can go a lot better. But it looks like it's in the right spot anyway, right there. Here, elbow is a little bit low, and yeah, you could really see how your whole shoulders are tilted back. You'd ideally have them much more vertical here. And yeah, that's what's causing your issue, I think. Try to think of like tilting a little bit more towards the target, and that'll help with your weight shift in general. Yeah, also try to turn your front foot away from the target, because that'll turn your hips back. See how your front foot's turning towards the target? That means that your hips are open and it stops you from rotating very efficiently. If you turn your hips away from the target, then as you rotate, you'll be able to generate a lot more power, because you're not really rotating that much. You see how you're kind of like stopping your rotation? That could be from your weight being offset. And your left arm, yeah, it looks kind of like muscling too. I don't know. I would start with working on balance and getting your plant foot turned away from the target, and then move on from that. You look like he's really trying to yeet it. Yeah, it kind of looks like muscling, but usually muscling has a shrugged shoulder and the disc is like way up here. He's not doing any of that. We got Bagel Eater. Bagel Eater's been putting work in for a long time. Eating a lot of bagels, from what I hear. Oh, I like that X step a lot better. He's been working on that for a while. Maybe. I liked it when I saw it full speed. But then here... Not terrible. Not terrible. Not as bad as it has been. Definitely an improvement there. I didn't mean to make that sound so negative. It looks better. Timing looks good. Front foot is still turned a little bit towards the target. There. It still looks like you need to have your elbow farther away from you. It looks like your arm is down and the disc is almost pinned up against you. You want to push your elbow out so that the disc has room to swing. And then a little bit higher follow through would definitely add some distance as well. But it looks better. It looks like improvement, especially in the weight shift department. Just your plant foot and your elbow. Those are the two things that I would focus on. Now we have Jay Boyer. I forget like what people's form used to look like, because I feel like I've looked at your form like a few times. Balance looks better. As far as like footwork, still leaning back a little bit, but not as bad as what I think I remember. I don't remember if that's you though. So when you're taking an X step, you really don't want to turn away from the target, because that turns yourself all the way around, and then it leaves you with an open stance when you take your last step towards the target. That forces your weight over your heels. It stops you from rotating very well, and it really takes a lot of power out of the throw. So ideally, you would keep your hips more sideways as you X step. Your feet don't necessarily have to be perfectly sideways, but if you stay more sideways as you X step, you can keep your weight over your toes better, and then you'll get a lot more power out of your lower body. Here, see how you're leaning back here? Like this, your spine is like tilted that way. Ideally, your spine you'd be leaning over your toes. So from this perspective towards the camera, but you just rotate back. That will help you with rotating more efficiently. Just because your weight is going to be centered around your center of balance rather than offset, where it has to swing up and over to get to the release point. Let's look at timing here. Your front foot is turned away from the target, though, so I like that. You just don't have as much power coming from your back foot. You're pulling the disc in front of you, but your arm is beating your rotation there. So this is muscling. This is where you're like pulling the disc in front of you before your whole throw gets to rotate. So ideally, your shoulder would stay locked and the disc would just swing towards you and away from you as you rotate. that would help. That actually generates a lot more power because your shoulder's stronger. If your shoulder starts to open, then it ends up being a lot squishier and you don't get as much strength out of it. So try to think of your power and your shoulder as being an anchor, and throwing the disc of being more of a flick of your elbow rather than a muscly motion like a row. It's not like a row at all. It's more, I mean, there's not really a workout that does this, but you know what I mean. I guess not that I know of. What do I know about working out? But yeah, I would start with working on balance and see if that helps you rotate a little bit faster, and then try to think of the locking your shoulder thing. Rising M says, tell it to Cynthia crushing at 1,000,000 feet. Cynthia doesn't crush at 1,000,000 feet. She throws far. I think she would throw farther if she didn't, but she's consistent the way she is, so I wouldn't change if I were her. That's the way like a lot of people are like, what about this really successful person who doesn't do what you're talking about? I think they would throw farther if they did, but I don't think they should change. I don't think it's worth it, because at that level, you don't want to take the step down to build back up again. Also, Cynthia kind of leans back. She reaches back early, but she stays balanced. She doesn't really lean that far back. At least by the time she's rotating, she's back up vertical and ends up rotating a lot more efficiently. Bryce, I think I did, but I will take a look after average guy tie here. They might have had proto rings on Getaways, Mavericks, and Captains, but not the team protos. The team protos just said prototype on them. Yeah, I haven't seen like team protos have this stamp on them in a long time. Are there any drills you recommend to stop muscling? You can try a lunchbox drill, which is where you have this is not a lunchbox, this is a box, but if you had a lunchbox, you could put it, I think Ratton came up with this. I didn't think that I did, but I hadn't seen anybody else claim it until I saw Richard Hatton claim it, so I'm going to go with that one. You put a box here, and that kind of stops your shoulder from collapsing or opening up, and then you probably shouldn't do it with a disc, but you can feel the rotation of like how your shoulder stays square. You should probably do it with a smaller box too, now that I think about it. Your shoulder stays square, and your arm just pivots in and out. Average guy tie. Tyler, that's what I would recommend to stop muscling. Or just slowing down. Just don't try to throw it as hard. Try to be smoother, and I bet you the disc goes at least just as far. I'll answer that in a minute, Cyrus. I have EMAC judges and evaders here. I haven't thrown them yet. Well, I have, but not these. Oh, your average guy tie. Perfect. Welcome to the stream. It's kind of a strange X step, but it's not bad. It looks like your foot is too far forward, or like too far closer to the camera, but it's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I like the reach back timing where it peaks right as your front foot touches the ground. Not too big of a stance either. That's good. It looks like your left arm isn't tight to your side. That can help you rotate faster. And then you're releasing the disc in front of you and pretty low. Yeah, your follow through is not very high as well. So like here, I kind of like your throw. And then here it looks okay too, except your left arm. But then here your release point is low and it's in front of you, and then your follow through is low. So your release point while you're throwing should actually be off to the left, right? It should be kind of out here. I'm pulling it too high. I need to stop doing that. I'm trying to break that habit. Pull the disc in and then off to your left, because that's faster to extend your arm than to pull the disc through to here. Right? So if your shoulder stays locked, it's a lot faster if the disc releases right there. And so you get a lot more power. Also, you want to raise your follow through, because if you follow through down as you're throwing, that tends to tilt the disc back, right? I'm exaggerating obviously, but if you follow through down, that pushes the disc back. But if you follow through up, that can help the disc stay a lot more nose down. So I would try to just raise your follow through in general. Usually that'll raise your release point enough, and try to offset your release point to the left. Think of the pull. I always say imagine a straight line. I don't think that's necessarily accurate. I think it's more of a line that comes in and then out at an angle, is the best way to like mentally think of it. Literally, it does something a little bit different, but it changes based on person too. But for the most part, mentally, it helps to think of coming in and then out. Yeah, kind of off to the left. You say you lean back. You tilt it back. Okay, yeah, that's nose up. That takes a lot of distance off. You're probably generating a decent amount of power, but throwing nose up just sucks that away right away. So if you get the nose down, you'll definitely add some distance. All right, I'll talk about the protos. This is the Dynamic Discs Evader prototype. It is a fairway driver. It feels like it'll be a 7-speed. I would guess, based on, I've thrown other evaders, I haven't thrown these yet. It feels very similar to an Explorer. So I would guess 7.5, maybe. See, the Explorer has 0 turn, right? What are the numbers on the Explorer? Because it has a little bit less turn and a little bit more fade. dynamicdiscs.com/explorer. 7502. Okay. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. It's got less turn than an Explorer. It still turns, right? It's not like something you can hammer flat and expect it never to turn. It's gonna flip up if you throw it hard, but it just fades more reliably. You're not gonna lose it to the right as often as an Explorer. Isn't it supposed to be like the verdict to the EMAC truth? I think for higher arm speeds, like for people who can throw this disc like 350, 380, it's going to be more similar to EMAC truth versus truth, right? Because people with that arm speed can flip an EMAC truth up to flat and then watch it fade. Whereas if you throw the same line out of a truth, it's going to flip up and then kind of glide right and finish straight, which is sort of what an Explorer does at that power. Whereas the Evader flips up and then fades. So it's very straight. It's not a super strong fade either. I still think an Opto X Explorer is more overstable, just from watching Anthony throw his. I haven't thrown one. But yeah, it's more stable than an Explorer, but it's really close. So it'll flip up to flat and then fade. Yeah, Lucid X Evader would definitely have a good bit more stability to it. This is the EMAC Judge. I don't know if the camera will focus on it. Maybe if I put my face behind it. Yeah, there we go. It's got a rim that kind of reminds me of a Mercy, where it's like a micro bead on it, but it's not, it doesn't go in very deep, right? It's a pretty, I want to say it's a thick rim for a putter. It kind of feels like it. But yeah, it's not super deep, not super shallow. It fits, honestly, it fits right in between the Judge and the Warden. From what I've seen of throwing it, it has, okay, so the Warden, I always say, you throw it flat, it stays flat, and it has a very gentle fade. So if you like to throw putters flat, the Warden is a great putter. The Judge has more turn, but also more fade, where like, if you like to hyzer flip your putters, it'll start on a hyzer, flip up to flat, but then finish farther left. If you throw both of those putters flat, they'll probably end up in about the same spot. The EMAC Judge is kind of in between, right? Where it has a little bit of turn, but not as much as a Judge, and a little bit of fade, more than a Warden, but not as much of a Judge. So they got it right in between the two. EMAC has been putting with these, and they're really good, for him anyway. This is blend plastic. The ones that you might have seen are, I believe, Prime. But yeah, it feels really good. I like the micro bead, gives you like a point of reference for your grip. And I'm probably not going to switch. I have too many Wardens. Plus, I'm not good enough at putting for it to matter. And I really like Wardens. So I'll probably just stick with those. But, yeah, that means eventually these will be in the giveaway bin. I might have to use them for videos for, like, content for work. But eventually they'll be there. Yeah, I don't think it's quite as overstable as the Opto Explorers. The Evader is not. I said that before I'd thrown one, before I'd like actually gotten some experience with it. But now that I've thrown it, I think I need to, reevaluate. Or the trade bin to Cyrus. I already gave you one of my like prototype Raiders and you friggin' lost it, you jerk. Okay. This is the last thing that I wanted to do. If you don't know, we put out a video today. I didn't lose it. It lost itself. Okay. We put out a video today that's a course preview for Jones Gold. Anthony and I played doubles against Eric McCabe out at Jones Gold. So it's very unfair to EMAC, and we won by 1 stroke, I believe, at the end. But the point wasn't like score. What point wasn't to do stuff like that. The point, it was just to show the course. But what incidentally happened was filmed my throw. Now I had played 1 round of disc golf, I think, this year. So this is coming straight off the off season. I was just yeeting, right? Like I'm not yeeting, not like full sending, but I was just grasping, trying to hit a line, anything, right? If it was passable, I was stoked. So I'm not really worried about my form. I'm not really trying to work on anything, but this is a good example of like, it felt like I was doing everything the exact same as the end of last year, and it's different. So like it just naturally changed over the off season for some reason. So that's kind of crazy. Anyways, here's the throw. My face is in the way again. So one thing that I noticed that Jay pointed out, and I don't know, I hate doing this because I haven't put any work into my form, right? So like obviously it's not going to be great. So I don't know. I don't like looking at my form right now. It almost causes me to cringe, but that's fine. I'm not leaning back as much as I was last year. I'm a lot more balanced. Like last year I was leaning over my back foot a bit more. Reach back timing looks pretty good. I'm throwing a flat shot and trying to get like a turnover here, so that's why I'm standing up so straight. When I throw hyzers, I tend to lean a little bit more over my toes, but I think my plant foot is offset too far to the left. I've been looking at this a little bit because here my left arm's tight to the side. But if you watch my plant leg, my leg doesn't straighten while I'm throwing. It stays bent, and that means that it's almost a squish. Right? Where if my leg is, if you're stiff arming somebody in football and you stiff arm them, your arm's really strong. But if you tried to stiff arm somebody like this with your arm bent, it's not going to do very well. And so that's effectively what my knee is doing. Because it's bent, it's not that strong. The other thing I noticed is, or that Jay also pointed out, is how high my power pocket is. Now, people with really long arms, they throw with the disc really low, right? Like they throw with it almost down by their stomach. You'll see like James Conrad or whatever, he throws with a power pocket way down here and then goes burp, and right, he smashes it. Obviously, I'll use a lighter colored disc way down here, and that's fantastic. That's great for him, right? Down here, out, that works. For me, it doesn't really work, right? It doesn't really work that well. So I try to pull lower chest height, and that's what I teach because it's more universal. I think just about any body type can pull lower chest height and be okay. Where I am in the video is up here, which is not really where you want to be. You don't want to have your disc way up here because at this point that, I don't know, it takes everything away from your center of rotation, so it's a lot less explosive, and it ends up, it's just not as strong. If you pull lower, it just feels a lot stronger. So not all the way down here, but like lower chest is where I should have the disc, especially because I'm throwing up. If I'm throwing up in the air, then the disc is going to start lower and the disc is going to be lower in the power pocket in order to release at a normal height. If I were throwing downhill, this power pocket would be okay because I'm releasing below where my power pocket is to get that downward shot. As an example of everything that I'm doing wrong, let's look at somebody who knows what they're doing. This is Nate Doss. This is a downhill shot overseas. I want to say it's at like the Scandinavian Open or something. And here you can see his plant foot is a lot farther to the right than mine is. Mine is like offset way over here. Granted, I am throwing like diagonally across the tee pad. I am throwing like this direction, but still, just as a comparison, let me go find it here. My plant foot relative to the rest of me is much more off to the left. Right? And then watch his front leg as he throws. As he's spinning, his power pocket is about as high as mine, but also, oh, European Open, that's it. He's also throwing downhill. So like I talked about, he should have it that high. I shouldn't. But yeah, his plant leg straightens as he throws, and that means it's a lot stronger. Now, it doesn't lock. You don't want to lock your knee, right? You don't want to be completely straight because that's a good way to hurt your leg. From what I understand, I'm not a doctor. But my leg, by comparison, is like way more bent. that is quite bent. So yeah, I'm losing a lot of power there, and then having to the angles with my upper body. I will say what I'm happy to see though is that at my release point, my shoulder is a lot more square than it used to be. I used to pull the disc a good bit, and also I'm not leaning back as much. So yeah, those habits have kind of exchanged themselves for other ones, but I think these other ones are easier to break. So we will see. That was also a really good shot. Yeah, I thought I threw that too far into the parking lot. What's this video? Somebody, COD God, Thomas Gilbert form video. Where? Is this the one from 10 months ago? Pretty sure they're in Nokia. Well, you would know. I don't know. COD God was talking about it. Because, like, I'm looking... This is his YouTube channel. Yeah, he's on Prodigy now. I love that thumbnail. That's so funny. Temp made that. Because he's got four hands. Do you get it? It's a four-hand video. Whoops. I'm not seeing it. I'd love to take a look at it. Do you want me to break down his form, or is there like a video of someone someone doing it and you want me to like react to it? Yeah, Nate, I got 1,000 subs. I'm glad you liked the Vandal too. That's good to see. This, he's throwing in the snow. He said, okay, Cyrus, you're telling me it's not this video. He's telling me there's a newer version of it. So what the heck, dude? All right, let me put on my headphones. Go subscribe to Thomas Gilbert, by the way. Buy all of his signature discs. He's a great dude. I remember meeting him at GBO like the first year that I came, and he was super nice. Big smile. Great dude. I pressed a button that I didn't mean to, and I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I can't hear anything. You guys can't either. No worries. Okay, no audio still. Cool. We're doing great. Nope, that's the audio source it should be. It's not muted. Oh, unmute site.
Video.
There we go.
There's a form breakdown video. This is my backhand form. I'm just going to take a look at the mechanics of what makes the shot look so easy and so clean.
This is like
I just got my
this is like a Gen Z camera angle where it's like lower than him.
On, just because
it's crazy. You don't usually see millennials use it.
You guys enjoy.
All right. What's up, Thomas?
All right. So let's take a look at the footwork. I'm going to do the normal X step, crossing well behind, which will initiate my...
Like he's moving really fast, but he still takes a pretty small X step, right? Like relative to how tall he is, that's not very
rotation. Big. You slow it down a little bit more. You can see I'm bringing my arm back as my plant foot comes forward. And then
I'm not a Gen Z camera angle. You see how high the camera is relative to me? It's like a foot over me. That's like, yeah. So he leans back a little bit earlier, but then by the time he's here, his spine is tilted over his toes, but he's centered. He's not leaning back anymore. That's really good to see.
Here. You can see as soon as my plant foot touches the ground, my arm is fully extended.
Yep.
My plant foot is only touching with the toe right now, which allows my hips to rotate back
That's a good
as
point.
much as possible.
Look at his shoulder too. His shoulder is, because his shoulders have rotated 90 degrees and his arm is straight back, that sets up a 90-degree angle right here. That's really good.
Even though my foot looks kind of parallel. As we go
reach back is low too.
More, you can see the initiation of the weight transfer as I pull the disc forward more and more and more.
See how his shoulder
stays? I also want to
stays?
say here that my left arm is really tight to my body.
Yep, his left arm's really tight to his side. His shoulder has not changed. He's still at that same angle.
Rotate faster around my body, increasing the acceleration of the throw. So
the purpose of the reach back is to set up your shoulder at the 90-degree angle. However, whichever direction that is, if that's a wide rail, that's a wide rail. If that's deep reach back, that's a deep reach back. But if you set your shoulder up at 90 degrees, you're doing it right. As long as you don't just start here and then try to throw the disc forward. Like you have to turn your shoulders away from the target and set up your shoulder at the right angle. That's the purpose of the reach back. A common mistake is to reach across and set up your shoulder at this angle, which is what I'm trying to correct when I say you don't need to reach the disc straight back. You need to reach the disc to where it can go straight forward. That's just it's a way to correct the mistake of reaching too far across.
Right here, you can see the 90 degrees. This is the power pocket. This is
Yep.
what you hear.
Also, notice how his heel comes up before his toe. And that's because he's pushing off of his toe. His elbow, too, is like high. Lots of people throw with their elbow low. I didn't realize his power pocket was that high. That's interesting.
All the time. All the pros talk about it. This right here, this 90 degrees, disc super tight to my chest.
Yep.
And just ready to explode with power.
He's so compressed right now. Like his whole, all of the energy of the rotation, the whole swing is really close together. Right? It compresses down and then all of it goes right into the disc and sends it flying. I'll stop pausing the video, sorry.
Keep going, and then right here, you can
shoulder
see how
still at
far
90 degrees.
My elbow juts out forward. This is kind of like Eve McMahon's sidearm. It's like weird. It goes further than I've seen other people's forms do. And I think this is where I get that longer whip from. And just using the length of my levers to my advantage. And right here, you can see it goes a little bit further. And then right here to the release of my disc.
I
want to point out, my foot is still pretty much parallel with the T-pad.
Yeah.
I haven't started rotating forward yet. And I think this...
Also, he releases the disc really far in front of him, partly because his arms are so long. My arms aren't long enough to do that, so mine releases more off to the left. That's kind of the difference between a deep reach back and a wide rail style. But yeah, he's absolutely right. Delaying that extension of your arm gets more snap, more power out of it. But yeah, part of that is because he's so tall and because, like he talked about, the length of his levers. He's absolutely right.
This is pretty key because this means I'm bracing myself so as much power as I can is released into the disc before my follow-through initiates, which is the deceleration of power, so I don't have as much harm to my body.
Mm-hmm.
So there you see my arm swings all the way around, trying to put as much momentum through my body as I can and catching myself forward on my other leg.
Yep. He's not like falling very hard onto his left leg. He's just taking a gentle step. That's another good point.
I want to go back a little bit more, just to right.
Also, top tier huck face.
Here. So I want you to notice how my knees kind of tweak forward, just like that right there. That initiates the power from my feet up to my calves, through my knees, to my quads and hamstrings. Rotate through my hips, rotating with my torso, and now up past the chest. All the power is about at my shoulders right now.
Yeah.
And this will be transferred through my arm, down my elbow, across the forearm, to my fingers, and then right here, out on the disc.
Out to the release, yep.
And you're not releasing the disc. As you see right here, come out with the most flow, but as you can, so I can start to pull forward.
That's a cool angle.
And initiate my throw. You can see here how
Gosh, it looks beautiful.
The disc is to my chest, only about an inch or two of space, and just absolute rip of power.
It's a smash for sure.
That's
a good video. You should go subscribe to Thomas Gilbert if you're not already. One thing he mentioned at the beginning is like all the pros talk about it. It's the power pocket. I sent in a question one time when Paul Ulibarri was on Smashbox, and I asked about the power pocket, and he laughed at me, and he had no idea what I was talking about. Who's laughing now, Paul? I guess probably still you, because he's much more successful and he's a better teacher than me. But yeah, more people than just me know what a power pocket is. Okay, cool. Who's the Hot Dog Bandit? I have no idea. If you don't know, the Hot Dog Bandit is somebody who has a rubber stamp that looks like a hot dog and has stamped 5 people's discs, like randomly. I got, I think, Calvin Heimberg, Eric Oakley. I don't know who else. I know I got Erica Stinchcomb, but like nobody knows who this is. There was suspicion that it was Oakley, but he was the first one to get stamped, so why would it be him? Kyle Klein mentioned the Hot Dog Bandit on his disc at Memorial. Okay, maybe there is 7 now. I don't know. It seems like an Oakley thing to do. It might be Cynthia. Cynthia Ricciardi. I feel like she kind of hangs out in that group. I don't know that she would like. I don't know her that well. No, that's a rookie strat. Eric wouldn't tag himself first just to throw people off. Like he plays too much Among Us to do that. Like that's self-reporting in Among Us. That's a good point. Someone at the Memorial got, so it's not Eric. Yeah, because Eric wasn't there. Who knows? Did you guys see the video on Whale Pants of Eric and Germ playing that casual round in Alabama? Or Louisiana or something like that? It was so funny. It was hilarious. But the footage looked like it had gone through a cheese grater. It got like compressed or something. It looked horrible. But the content was amazing. Yeah, it was quality. Hey, what's up, Derek? Good to see you, man. Yeah, Matthew, I don't know everybody who's been got by the Hot Dog Bandit. But, I mean, I think it's hilarious. I want a Hot Dog Bandit stamp. Why don't I got one yet? Someone asked earlier what happened to my chair. My cat happened to my chair. She likes to climb on it. She's not like, she doesn't like shred it. It's not like she's playing with it and just destroying it. She just hops up there to be up there and like play. And yeah, that's what happens. Great, dude. I'm glad you liked Jones Gold preview. It was fun. The freaking weirdest shot of the whole thing. Hang on, I gotta pull it up. Whose form am I checking this stream? I checked everyone who submitted a form check in Discord. So if you're looking for a form check, drop it in Discord. I'll take a look. I'll be there, but you think Barsby did it? I don't think. Like, I don't know that Barsby's with that group. You know? Okay, first off, I freaking solo eagled this hole. Not that shot. This shot. This is a Raider nose up, so it didn't go as far as it needed to, but it's farther than Anthony's. This wasn't even that windy. It was a little bit. It was windy, but not like crazy. And then this was my second shot. A lot better nose down. Just, there was a tree there that fell at some point. If you're not in Discord already, if you type !Discord in chat, there's a bot that'll drop you a link, or it's in the description. And I was talking like, holy cow, that was insane. Okay, no, this is definitely a par 5. This is definitely a par 5. Maybe not for touring players, but for literally everyone else. Like, I smashed off the tee, took a crazy lucky second shot. I wouldn't go for that shot if it was solo, if it was singles. I just would not. Also have murdered out wardens. It's black. They're black stamp, black putter. It's pretty sick. This was the weirdest shot. Not that one. That one was just garbage. This one. This is a blasting headwind. The lake has ice on it, but I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. The basket is on the other side of the cedars way up here. And so what I thought, this is a flippy Raider. It's one of the match play ones, and I thought just put it on all of the hyzer because I didn't care if I lost that disc because it hadn't flown very well that day. So like put it on all of the hyzer and then deal with whatever. And this thing, there was enough wind here. Also, I threw it definitely like super mega hard. That's on so much hyzer. It flipped all the way up to flat, and then it was still turning. It was still turning at this point. That is crazy. I thought I put too much. I thought it was just going to fade out into the road. But no, it just flipped all the way up and kept going straight. That was insanely lucky. Yeah, it's crazy the difference, though. Look at the flyover. Everything's green. And then when we played it, everything's just dead. We played Clover Cliff Ranch as well. Me and Anthony did. That video's done. It'll go out at some point. So keep an eye out for that one. But yeah. I'm waiting. I think we might have one more form check tonight. But then that's going to be it for me. I'm sleepy. I have not been getting enough sleep. Somebody asked in Discord if practice rounds at the ECC, at the country club during DDO if practice rounds are free. I don't believe they are. I think your rounds for the tournament are covered, but practice rounds aren't. Yeah, Clover Cliff was sick. I mean, if you want to make preview videos, do it, because, I mean, yours is a different game than mine and Anthony's. Oh, that's right, Bryce. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry. I said I would go back and look at yours, and I definitely didn't. I looked at this one, but it might have been, like, after a few minutes on the other stream, so I can see how it's hard to find. I like the X step. I like the reach back. That looks good. Reaching a disc straight back. It looks like balance is still a little bit of an issue, right? See how you're kind of leaning back here? And there, the disc doesn't really come in as tight to you as I'd like to see. You should try to swing it a little bit closer. Yeah, and then not leaning towards the basket or away from the basket. I think that'll help a lot. But yeah, the you don't want to hit yourself in the chest with the disc. Usually, I think when you hit yourself in the chest with a disc is when you're muscling, right? When you're trying to do everything properly, really strong and that ends up when you hit yourself in the chest. It's just a gentle swing. It really isn't. It's not a muscly, big, strong motion because I can do it, which means it doesn't require that much muscle. This is co-tedder. Like there's two tedders, but only one D. Co-tedder. I don't know. I'm sorry. All right, not rounding. That's good. It looks beautiful there. Holy cow. The first thing that I see is your X step. It's turning you around backwards, turning you away from the target. And what that does is it sets your whole body up to have your toes farther apart than your heels, right? You turn around too early, then you turn forwards too early. You end up with your toes apart, your weight's back over your heels, and that takes your lower body out of the throw quite a bit. So ideally, you would try to keep your hips more sideways as you're X-stepping. It's okay to turn a little bit, but you don't want to turn all the way around. And so you can keep your weight over your toes. A drill that's good to help with this is to try and keep your left heel off the ground the entire time that you're throwing. It's going to feel weird, and I don't think it's a way that like you should throw for real, but as a drill to learn how to do it, doing that really forces you to keep your weight over your toes more. Reach back is a little bit early too. The disc should hit the peak of the reach back right as your front toe touches the ground, because right now you have to kind of hold it back there for a while, and that messes up a lot with your timing. Part of turning around backwards and reaching back early is it also leans your spine backwards. You see how here, there we go, your spine is tilted away from the target. Ideally, your spine from this angle would be vertical. You're tilted over your toes some, but you don't want to like lean backwards. And that just means you can rotate a lot more efficiently. Also, you can tell your weight is over your heels because your toe pops up first. And that means that your back leg has it's pushed, it's done everything, and the disc is still in your hand. So it's not really adding anything to the throw. It's just walking forward. I do like, though, that you're setting your front foot on the ground with the toe first. That's really good to see. So it's not like your front foot is messed up too. It's just if you can fix your back foot, you'll get a lot more power out of your lower body. As you're pulling the disc here, your hand is on the front of the disc, and the disc doesn't really come in that tight to your chest. Your left arm is tight to your side, though, so that's really good. And it doesn't really look like you're muscling. It's not like your shoulder's opening up. But, information dump. I'm just rambling. When your hand is on the front of the disc, that means that the disc isn't as tight to your chest, and it kind of means that you're throwing with effectively like this motion, right? Which is not nearly as strong as this motion. So ideally, yes, the link will be there, it's in the announcements of Discord, or you can just come find it. You can definitely watch this later. You want to try and get your hand on the outside of the disc, right? Not the back, but the outside, so the other side from your chest. And then that'll swing the disc a little bit closer, and it'll get your elbow up, and that'll mean that you're throwing with this motion rather than this kind of a motion. That's a lot of things. X step, try to keep yourself sideways. Balance, try not to lean back over your back foot as much. And then elbow, hand on the outside / elbow thing. I would work on them in that order too. Work from the ground up. McCorby asked, how can he work on his leaning issue, like leaning back and forward? What helps me is to slowing down, like you're not moving fast, but just doing everything a lot slower as a drill helps. And also try to think of like leaning towards the target at the beginning, right? Like especially for this X step part, see how your feet are like underneath you and then they kind of scoot up. Whoop, I skipped a frame. Your whole posture just kind of leans back there. So try to think of like tilting a little bit towards the target as you're throwing. And then you'll end up, that should help you at least start over your feet, and then it should be easier to keep it there. Yes, Bagel Eater. From what I remember, your shoulder was scrunched and the disc was behind you a little bit, and I think your follow-through was low. I don't remember, but I definitely did take a look at it. It's good to see you, man. Been here for a long time. Bagel Eater's been around for a minute. Eating a lot of bagels, that's for sure. But yeah, I think that's it for the stream tonight. I'm kind of sleepy. My throat kind of hurts, so I should probably stop talking. I will, I always forget to tag people in the form check section whenever I do these, so I need to get better at that. I'll tag everyone I did tonight. Yeah. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications, because I don't know really when I'm streaming. So, yeah, schedule's not really a thing. But, yeah, I appreciate y'all hanging out. I really appreciate you typing in chat. It makes the stream a whole lot better. Otherwise, it's just me, and I'm kind of dumb. So, yeah, I really appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you all next time. Have a great evening.